Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Getting to Know We podcast. Today I'm your host, Lionel. Thanks for being here. I just want to let everyone know that our podcast is now on Spotify, so that's really exciting for us. That's a big step. It is Getting to Know We is how you can find it. We also want to let you know that this podcast is through our YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel is Anonymous Beats. It's a YouTube channel that we have alters, specifically No Name and Anonymous, that started this YouTube channel to share their talent for music. We also have an alter that's really good at piano, and that's who is mostly taking over that channel right now. I will let her say her name when she's ready, but that's our YouTube channel. And so if you want to go check us out, we post pretty regularly. I'd say at least once a week. Is sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times. It just depends. So we haven't really got a schedule yet. But please like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. We're trying to build a community through music as well as this podcast to spread awareness as well as destigmatize mental illness. Very specifically, the mental illness that we have, which is dissociative identity disorder, but also all mental illness, because mental illness is hard to live with, man. It's really hard, and there's real people that have it, and we are definitely one of them. And for us, our mental illness really stems from our childhood, and we're just trying to get better. We're sick people trying to get better, and so that's why we really made this podcast as well as our YouTube channel. It's to build community in that mental illness as well as destigmatize that dissociative identity disorder. So if you like this, let us know through a comment. If you don't, hey man, haters gonna hate too. So we would love to hear from the haters too. What would you like to see? What do you want? What do you we'd like to hear everyone out. We're just kind of that way, So let us know. We know it's very hard to live with mental illness. It's very much affecting our life right now. But while I'm here, I would like to introduce the topic for today. So we just got off of a meeting that had a really great topic that is now the topic of this podcast. And the topic of this podcast is anger and resentment, which I think is a really great topic. Really resonates with me today a lot, because for me, I guess to start off, this is Lionel. I want to share that for anger, I don't really see it as a negative emotion. So what is anger? Anger for me is an emotion, like all emotions, that help with survival. Anger specifically, for me, occurs when a boundary is crossed. That's just kind of how it goes for me. For me, it's when a physical boundary is crossed. I tend to have a very wide bubble. I don't let people get too close to me. When people are in my bubble, I tend to move away. I do not like to be touched. I do not like people to stand behind me. I'm very much, physical boundary is very important to me. So I just wanted to tell a story about something that happened. This is a real story that sparked anger. I just want to share on anger. And so this is how I view anger. For me, it's a physical boundary. That is a physiological response that is normal. It is not negative in my eyes, because anger for me really is just my body being like, hey, too close, back up, back off, or I'm going to take myself, physical body, and move away from this situation and sit with myself and figure out, what's going on right now? And that's what I do. And having DID, that's really, really hard. I just want to say that it is so hard for me because most of the time I don't know what's going on. I don't know why my body's having a reaction to something. Because we have physical reactions, we have voices, we see things, hallucinations galore. Is this psychosis? No psychologist can really tell us. They don't really know because they don't know. It's trauma. Literally anything goes with trauma, man. It is a wide open space with trauma. And so they have diagnosed us with autism, ADHD, DID, and adjustment disorder. That's all the isms, I guess, that we got, including alcoholism and addiction. And so on that, anger. What does the anger go towards? And for me, we were in treatment, and there was this man, and he was young. All right, here's the thing. Our body looks real young, and I don't know why that is. You know, I've had old people that I work with tell me that, you know, it's good genes. Yeah. I don't know what that means. I'm a scientist, so to me, a gene's a gene. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, basically. And for me, what happened was this man, he got in my physical space. You know, it was, you know, no shame, nothing bad. You know, and before I go any further in this story, I also want to say, if there's any alters inside that have something to say during this podcast, please feel free to come forward. I would love to hear from you. I love learning from you, and that's why I'm making this podcast, is so that we can get to know you. So I just want to say that out there really quick, just if anybody who's listening inside wants to come forward. Alright, so there's this man. He was very young, and I think he thought we were around his age. You know where this is going. And it wasn't very fun. You know, he got in our personal space. We had an alter that came out and said, real quick, sparked that anger and said, hey, back up, back off, leave me some more space. You know, and I respected him for it, you know. I have mad respect for him because he is one of our protectors. And I will let him say his name if he wants to come forward. But, that's what happened, is, you know, we got angry. He got angry, I got angry, and it was, hey, you know, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's not negative, you know. The one thing that I can say is, like, did we handle it well? Did we handle our body well? I think we did. You know, we didn't yell at him. We didn't say anything. We just simply said to this man, good intentions, bad intentions, doesn't matter, because we can't control that. The only thing we can control is what our body's doing and when it's doing it. Granted, depends on which alter you're talking to. For me, I lose control of the body all the time. I black out a lot. And that's the thing with DID, that's my experience, is I blacked out. At this instance, I blacked out, and I think it's because an alter took over, because he thought our physical body, our physical boundary was crossed, and he took over. And this is just because I heard a recording of him telling this story, and now I know which alter it is, and it's Dominic. And I want to acknowledge him because I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Dominic because he's a protector. You know, and what that means in DID is it's an alter that watches over other alters. And I want to say thank you for him, because that day he protected us. I blacked out. I don't know what happened other than what his story told, but I'll let him tell it if he wants to. But I heard him tell the story. And, you know, it was really nice to hear these recordings, to hear these podcasts, to learn from all of these alters. And that's why we do it. That's why we do this Getting to Know Me, is because this is our healing journey. This is real. This is DID for us. We black out. At least I black out. I don't know what's going on. I don't remember whole days. I don't remember anything accept the present. I have the present, and that's it. That's all I get. And that's real for me. And I have to live with that. You know, that's something that I have to stand up and accept, man, and not get angry about. And I get angry about it a lot, man. Because that crosses another boundary. You know, that's a personal boundary, you know? I don't always like sharing a body with so many people, man. I don't like hearing voices that nobody else can hear. I don't like seeing things that nobody else can see. And that's DID, man. Mental illness. And it's real. And it's hard. It makes daily living so hard right now that we're about ready to lose our job, man. About ready to lose our job. We're already homeless, man. And we're trying like crazy to save it. Because we deserve it. You know, we deserve to have a life that is good, away from torture, away from abuse, away from men that want to use us, away from negativity, you know? We deserve to live in a positive, happy world that is our life. And that's the truth, man. And that's all I really want to say. So if anybody else has anything to say, I'm going to pause here and let them talk. This is Lionel. And thanks for listening. Thanks, Lionel. This is Daniel. And I'm driving right now. This is Welcome to the CarCast, everybody. What's up? Hope you're having a good day, night, afternoon, evening, whichever, morning. It's up to you, wherever you live in the world. Thanks for joining us. This topic, man, yeah, that's a good one. Anger. Anger for me is road rage, man. I'll be honest. I'll be so honest. Anger for me is road rage. And road rage for me stems from control. I'm definitely a control freak. I have codependency. That's how I see it. I'm a codependent. And that's also based on childhood trauma. But for the most part, it manifests as road rage. And so for me, road rage is me wanting to control how people drive. And like, I am in no control. It's just so silly. You know, I almost see road rage as something so silly. Because what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like, what am I doing? I'm driving my own car, being in control of my own life. And I can apply it to life, man. That's a life skill, too. Road rage can be applied to life is, people are going to do what people are going to do, man. Regardless of what I say, what I do, how I express my emotions, like anger's not going to change nothing. Opening my mouth is not going to change that person's mind. So that's how I see road rage now. Because I try not to partake in it anymore. You know, I'll make a comment, but then I'll remember, it'll pop in my head. That's why I'm thankful for 12-step programs. Because it'll pop in my head and I'll be like, you know, say the serenity prayer. You know, say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change this person cutting me off. I cannot change this person almost hit me. You know, because I also see it as they're a person too. They're a person. They're having a day. I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't know if they're an emergency or not. You know, driving is getting to and from places. You know, you don't know what's going on in someone's life is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. So I shouldn't express my anger towards someone that might just be having a bad day, man. They might just be having a bad day. So I'm not going to honk my horn. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to do crazy fist motions anymore. Because you don't know what that person's going through. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Now, does this always work? No. I still gonna talk to myself in the car? Yeah. Am I gonna honk my horn? Maybe. But I'm not gonna do it in a crazy way. You know what I mean? I might pretend to honk the horn. I might say something under my breath because I'm in progress, It's progress, not perfection. I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna get mad. And that's okay, let it happen. Let it happen. Let it out. And that's what I hope we do on this podcast. That's what I want to say to the alters out there is let it out, man. Let it out. Because there are so many alters that I know of that I've learned just by recordings is they've been so unheard. And that hurts me. That hurts me because they deserve to be heard. So that's why I make this podcast, is for their voices to be heard, for them to come out so that we can get to know them. This is getting to know we as in our systems, because we have multiple systems. That's the other thing, is DID is complicated, man. It is complicated. You are living with hundreds of people in one body. And they are so strong, they're so well developed that they take over the body and let you know that you're not in control of the body today, period. That's a lot. That's just a lot, period. Not even putting on any of the other symptoms. Just that one. Just that one. So, wow. So that's all I want to say, really, is I just want to share with all the alters out there that are listening, and even those that aren't, that I want to be here for you. I want to get to know you. And that's all I have to say. So I'll leave some space here to let another alter come in if they want. This is Daniel. I say thanks. Being here, everybody. Thank you, Daniel, for being so kind and hosting this podcast, a place for us to go to share with the world what it's really like to have DID, polyfragmentation. The polyfragmentation part is what's important to me. This is Dominic. Topic I heard is anger, and I have a lot of that. Well, what's interesting with me is I get mad because there's multiple Dominics in this system, man. They're separate people. That's what makes me mad. Individual, because I want to be an individual. That's where my anger really lies with mental illness, is I want to be by myself. I've always been by myself. And what's interesting topic too that I hope we can discuss sometime in more detail for this podcast is what it's really like being an alter. Knowing that you're just a piece of the psyche. That's kind of how therapists talk, but to me that's so dehumanizing and belittling. I know that's not their intent, I know, but I'm just saying my feelings on it is because I'm just trying to be over here and be a person. I'm just trying to be my own person. And when you know that the brain is shared by multiple persons, that is so trippy. That is so trippy, because you don't even know them, number one, so it gets complicated so quick. You jump from 1 second being I'm completely fine to what the heck happened 3 days ago? What do you mean it's this day? I don't remember that. And it's the not remembering thing that really, really makes me mad. because I didn't consent. I didn't consent to these quote-unquote switches. And that's what I'd like to work on as a system, is consensual switching. And switching, if you're new to this podcast, is essentially switching between alters. So alters take over the body, is how we view it. Because our system, we're so dissociated. And what dissociation is it's a adaptation of the brain. So when we were young, alters were created and are still created now. As an adult, we have a couple alters that are brand new that I think developed, and that's a whole other topic. But long story short, dissociation is an adaptation of the brain that when there's severe trauma at a very young age, you learn this form of survival called dissociation. And what that means is your brain turns off. Your brain turns off because you're in a very heightened, extreme stress state. And dissociation, like most things, is a spectrum. So everyone dissociates. It's like a normal human brain thing, at least one time in your life. At least that's what the research says. However, people with DID, your body and your brain has grown up in such a heightened state of stress that it never turns off. And that's what DID is. It's that extreme form of the spectrum. And we're even farther than that. We're even farther than just DID or partial DID or OSDD. We are polyfragmented, which is the most severe form of dissociation. We're way up there. We're way up there. And, that makes me angry, too, because I don't want to be special. I don't want to be... That's where my anger stems, too, is I don't want to be rare. I don't want to be. I want to be, like, normal. Whatever normal is. And I know there's a lot of people out there in the world that are like, what is normal? And for me, it's like, normal is just, like, having normal problems. Normal problems. Not being homeless, man. Not worried about making ends meet. Not worrying, did I eat today? Did I take my medicine? Stuff like that. Because that matters to us. And that is life and death with us because we have epilepsy. We don't take our medication. That's bad, man. That's real bad. And that can make our day go so far down so fast. And so I get angry because some alters refuse to do stuff. They refuse to do it. They refuse to take care of the body because they weren't taught. And why weren't they taught? It's because of our childhood, man. And it's like, dang it. And I'm not in control. Like, that's what makes me so mad is I'm not in control. And I'm a control freak, too. I heard somebody else. I don't remember who it was. There's so many of us. But I heard it on another recording. They said that they were a control freak. And I'm like, oh, crap. That's me, too. And what did they say? They said that it was codependency. And I guess I'm codependent, too. It's like, dang it. Another thing to add to the list, It's like, I don't want all this complication. I don't want life to be complicated. I want it to be simple. All I want is to make enough money to get by, be a minimalist, live a minimalistic lifestyle, be vegan, and just chill. I don't even care what kind of job I have as long as I'm making money. Enough money to get by and not be homeless. Not wonder if I'm going to eat today. Not wonder if I'm going to have a doctor to give me my medication. Because those are our real life problems right now. That's what we're dealing with right now. Like right this very second. And that's what bothers me. So that's what I'm angry at. Is my life circumstance right now. Because I don't like it. But what I'm learning in these 12-step programs that we're in is you gotta accept life on life's terms, bro. You gotta let that go. I'm learning so quick that, holy cow, my compulsive need to control stuff and be my own higher power is ruining my life, man. It's unmanageable, just like they say. It is unmanageable, and I am out of control. I'm out of control. And all forms of that phrase, out of control meaning be powerless. Out of control being like, our life is a mess right now. And we need help. But what does help look like? I don't know. And that's where the higher power comes in, man. And it is the higher power of my own understanding. That's my favorite part, because we have so much spiritual abuse, ritual abuse, that religion cannot even come into the equation, or our system freaks. I freak, at least. I'll speak for myself. I'll let other altars speak for themselves. So, I'm a mess. I know I'm a mess, and that's why I'm talking on this podcast, because I need to be heard, man. I'm a mess. And I just want to heal. I'm a sick person trying to get well. And that's why I'm in these 12-step programs and working these programs and working these steps. And that first step, man, I'm powerless. That's the truth. And that's my truth. I just want to say thanks for letting me share. This is Dominic, and I just want to say thanks. Dominic. Thanks, Dominic. I think that's enough. This is Lionel, and wow, great CarCast today. Great topic. We just want to put in here, thank you to all the altars that shared today. Thank you to our audience being here for us and accepting us as we are, which is a system that is complicated. And with that, I want to say, please like, comment, subscribe if this is posted on YouTube, on Spotify. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow us if you want. We will definitely, we make at least one podcast a week. So be on the lookout for that. We post weekly, at least. Sometimes if the altars get a little hectic and our life gets a little hectic, this is an outlet for us, so we will be posting more. So at least once a week. And with that, I want to say, we'd love to hear from you. We really would. We want to build a community, so feel free to reach out to us via email at anonymousbeats8@gmail.com. You can leave us a like or a comment on this YouTube, because it's going to be published on YouTube and Spotify, as well as Twitter. So feel free to reach out to us. I think we even posted a poll on Twitter, so go check that out at Anonymous Beats. Our Twitter handle is Anonymous Beats 8, as well as our YouTube handle is Anonymous Beats 8. That's our handle. So feel free to share this. Share, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to build this community. That mental illness is where it's spreading awareness for DID, what it's really like. So with that, I'm going to close this out. I really just want to say thank you to everybody, all the listeners, as well as all the altars. And I look forward to getting to know we. So with that, I'll say goodbye.